We've got some guests today, and they might not know everybody's name. Can you tell us who this is? Who's this?
Uncle Floyd.
Uncle Floyd, thank you. And who's this? Yes, Barabbas. Uncle Floyd's nephew. And who's this? Gator came to live with them, yes. Well, Uncle Floyd told this story to Barabbas and Gator. And the name of this story is The Rebellious Carrot. Once upon a time, there was a little carrot who lived in a garden at Uncle Floyd's house. She was part of a whole row of carrots. And they lived right next to a row of beets. It was a happy garden. Uncle Floyd made sure to water the carrots and the beets every day, but when he watered the carrots and the beets, the water also fell on a little weed that was growing there. And so the weed grew too. Hey, called the little carrot to Uncle Floyd. Hey, this weed is beginning to crowd us. Could you please pull him out? And Uncle Floyd did not pull out the weed. He said, I reckon we can let it go for now. I'll take care of it later when the time is right, trust me. But the carrot did not like that answer. So she decided to take things into her own hands, and she devised a plan, and she told the rest of the carrots, I don't like that weed at all, do you? And they said, no, we don't like that weed either. So she said, when Uncle Floyd comes to water, let's us drink all the water, and then maybe that'll make the weed leave. And so when he watered, they drank every drop of water except what the beets needed. But the weed, being a weed, just seemed to grow anyway. And then they decided, okay, then they're going to crowd out the weed. But the weed just seemed to flourish. So the carrot just became more and more indignant. And so she spoke to Uncle Floyd again, and she said, hey, are you looking? Don't you see this weed growing right here in our midst? Please, and she didn't say please in a polite way, she said it in a demanding way. Please remove the weed. Well, Uncle Floyd said, if the weed is pulled now, it will uproot the good plants. I reckon the weed needs to stay for now. The job is mine to remove the weed when the time is right. Trust me. The little carrot didn't like that answer either. So she just decided to take further action. And she and several of the other carrots became so determined to rid their garden. She said their garden. She was forgetting in her anger that it's actually Uncle Floyd's garden. She just became so determined that she convinced these other carrots to uproot themselves. And that's a really hard thing for a carrot to do, to uproot itself. But sure enough, they did it because they were very determined. And they surrounded the weed. And oh my, there was an awful battle. There was dirt flying everywhere and pieces of greenery were flying. It was a terrible scene. And the next morning, when Uncle Floyd came out to water the garden, it broke his heart what he saw. Where once there was a beautiful garden, now there was a destroyed weed and a lot of uprooted carrots and innocent beets. Well, Uncle Floyd could hear the carrots and the beets groaning. And so with great compassion, he tilled the garden and put the beets back in their row, and then he put the disobedient carrots back in their row as well. And then he taught them that it is not their job to decide to weed the garden. And after many days and much care, the carrots apologized to the beets for that battle that happened. And they grew together again strong. And the little carrot vowed from then on to always trust the words of Uncle Floyd. What does this parable mean? Asked Barabbas to Uncle Floyd. And Uncle Floyd said, I reckon it means that we need to trust that God will sort out the good and the bad in his own time when he's ready to. It's not our job. Our job is to grow where we're planted and to love and serve the Lord. The end.